All right, hey, what's up, everybody? Mike Lindsley back with you. A little help from Cooper here. It's 9 minutes with me here on IGTV, Facebook, and YouTube. Make sure you do download and subscribe to my podcast. It's called the ML Sports Platter. It is all over the major platforms: Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts, as well as Stitcher, Deezer, the Podbean app, YouTube, and Tumblr. And hit me on Twitter at Mike L Sports. This video, 9 minutes with Mike Lindsley, all over Facebook, IGTV, and YouTube. It is presented by the Allen Angus Pub. I went there today for lunch with Matthew Gutierrez, my buddy from The Athletic. Amazing, amazing meal. I had the chili cheeseburger, ridiculous, with the cheddar cheese and the chili on top of the burger patty. Whew, what a lunch that was. And they are the official pub of the ML Sports Platter. Make sure that you do indeed go to the Allen Angus Pub before and after all the big events: Crunch Hockey, SU Athletics, entertainment, concerts, you name it. We're also supported by Empower Federal Credit Union, Bryant and Stratton College, and Bradley's Jewelers. Log on to bradleysjewelers.com today. Shop the showcase for your engagement rings, your wedding rings, your necklaces and bracelets, and much, much more. Bradley's Jewelers is the official jewelry shop of the ML Sports Platter. Well, I want to talk a little Syracuse basketball, and I know that they just took care of Colgate last night, and unlike some media people, I don't think that this game tells us anything about Syracuse. Yeah, they got the offense going a little bit and all that, but the reality of this situation is Syracuse basketball falls out of bed and beats Colgate by double digits. They can have a terribly slow beginning of the game, which they did last night, and still beat Colgate based on talent, based on size, and based on length. Syracuse playing a B-C game, they still beat Colgate by a minimum of 10 points. So I really don't take a lot in terms of the State of the Union in terms of Syracuse against Colgate as far as where this season is going to go. It's not a deal breaker, make or break situation in terms of anything with Syracuse beating Colgate by double digits. But what I will say is, yes, the offense got going a lot better last night. Again, inferior opponent, and he didn't have to play that Virginia defense. But what I want to really get into is the two guys who I think are going to help Syracuse immensely this year, because I think it's going to be another inconsistent season of offense, and I think this team's going to be a bubble team. I do eventually think that they're going to get into the tournament. When you take a look at 68 teams and all the rest, you have that extra opportunity to maybe get a play-in game or anything. I think Syracuse does squeak into the tournament in the end. I think it will be a sweat-out situation, though, as we are very accustomed to in Central New York. But when you look at the guys on offense on this team, you start to chip away on the roster, don't you? I mean, how many guys are really an offensive threat on this basketball team? Barama Sidibe has a lot of work to do, and to me, a lot of the success that he had last night was basically, because of what I just talked about: size, length, and talent. Sidibe is not a really good basketball player, but he is far more talented, and he's bigger and a lot longer than a lot of the Colgate guys. So by default, he is going to go ahead and, Cooper, stop chewing the carpet. He is going to be one of the guys to be able to get points inside. He's just that much bigger and that much longer. I kind of move him away. I don't think he's that much of an offensive threat. Merrick Dolezaj last night had that spin play where he, basically did a spinorama with his right hand. It was one of the weirdest plays I've ever seen. But he's really not an offensive threat either. He doesn't have a real handle of the basketball. He doesn't move off of screens. He's not a great three-point shooter. So I don't think he's really a big-time threat as well. Under a minute left, if you need a basket, are you going to go to Merrick Dolezaj? I don't think so. Then you have a situation where Jalen Carey is a complete mess and has already lost his job to somebody who we're going to get into in a minute. When you look at him, you kind of like, what's he going to really contribute at this particular point? All the freshmen are wild cards at this point. I do like Girard. I think his game is really, really great. All the freshmen are wild cards outside of Joe Girard, who's already won the point guard position over Jalen Carey. I think Joe Girard, as of this moment, believe it or not, when you look at the offensive ability, you look at the ball handling skill, and you look at his defense and his commitment to the 2-3 zone and understanding things, his fundamentals and his IQ, I think Joe Girard right now, you can make an argument, is the best player on the Syracuse basketball team right away. We're only 2 games into this young season, and Joe Girard has shown me enough to be able to be a really good player on this team and the best player on this team. Now, you might look at it a couple different ways. Like, well, that's amazing. That's an incredible accomplishment. He's already jumped a bunch of players as the best guy. The other part is, oh boy, how hurting is this roster for Joe Girard to already be the best player? Well, I think this roster is hurting. I think they're actually really, really hurting in terms of the offensive game. To me, Joe Girard, the offense might go through him because of his ability to shoot from the outside, his ability to create shots with a dribble, and then you take a look at Buddy Boeheim, and that's another player I want to get to. I think there's 3 key offensive players on this team right now, and everybody else I'm kind of worried about. I think some of the freshmen will be there in the end. Outside of Girard, Gary obviously has very, very good size. You might lean on Braswell once in a while here and there, but the one thing here is that the Buddy Boeheim, Joe Girard combination could be a big one. Buddy Boeheim does not have a great handling skill. It's gotten better. His ball handling has gotten better, but we know that this guy hits 3-pointers. He is a shooter, and he's going to get better on the defensive side. Both of these guys also should be four-year players. So Girard and Boeheim could be playing 3 years together on the Hill and really develop a major chemistry, almost like in the short term Trevor Cooney and Michael Benajay had. And also, you take a look at Brandon Trish and Michael Carter-Williams when they went to the Final Four in 2012-13 at the top of that zone, and their offensive back and forth, the complementing of each other. Brandon Trish was 6'1". He complemented nice with the balance, the occasional shooting, driving to the hole. Michael Carter-Williams with the great ball handling skill and being able to penetrate and being able to really operate the offense. I can see a lot of that going on right now with Girard and with Buddy Boeheim. And then the third guy you add into the fold here is Elijah Hughes. He's a guy who has to have a big year. If Syracuse is going to make the NCAA tournament, they need the 3-headed monster of Hughes, Boeheim, and Girard to be really good and really consistent offensively all season long. We know Elijah Hughes has the ability to take over basketball games. You've got the freshman in Girard, who seems like he's very, very fearless right now, and a guy who can handle the basketball. And then you have Buddy Boeheim, who can make 3-point shots. And, of course, all 3 of them are committed to the defensive side of the ball as well, which means they're going to play 30 to 35 minutes a game, if not more, because that's what Jim Boeheim wants. That's what Jerry McNamara wants. That's what Adrian Autry wants. That's what that staff wants, is you commit to the defensive side as well. That only means you're going to play more offensively. Those 3 guys, they've got to be there the entire season, because Jalen Carey at this point can't throw the ball in the ocean. And then you take a look at all the other guys. The freshmen are going to take a little bit extra time than Joe Girard, I think, to develop. And then you got Barama Sidibe, you got Dolajai. They're really not offensive guys. They're scrappers and maybe guys who can kind of do this on the defensive side. The 3-headed monster of Hughes, Boeheim, and Girard, they got to be there the entire season. I've been super impressed with Joe Girard, though. I thought that was a great recruit. He's a kid who's just a couple hours away in the Albany area. Bravo to Boeheim and company for pulling him in. He could be an all-time Syracuse player. He's a gym rat. He shoots the ball. He dribbles it very well. He plays defense. He's super coachable. And, oh, by the way, remind me of some of the guys you've heard that of before. Brandon Trish, Jerry McNamara, Andy Routens, Trevor Cooney. If he has a career like that, forget about it. Girard could end up as a Syracuse basketball legend. And, of course, Buddy Boeheim getting tutored and nurtured and coached by his father and the staff at this point. He has 3 more years left on the Hill. That could be a nice dynamic point guard, shooting guard complementary pair on the Hill for the next few years. I'm Mike Lindsley, 9 Minutes with me, IGTV, Facebook, and YouTube. We're brought to you by Bryant Stratton College, Hides of Liverpool, our good friends at Empower Federal Credit Union, and Barks and Rec Doggy Daycare. Hit me on Twitter at Mike L Sports, and as I always tell you, enjoy the games.